Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm Jennifer Rivera.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So just gonna ask you a couple of questions. First, tell me what procedure you had and when did you have it?
I had breast augmentation. It's now 1 week since it was actually performed, and it's everything I expected it to be. Thank goodness. I was very worried about painfulness and about being able to have movement. I'm a very active person, and it was really important for me to find a person and a doctor who cared as much about that as I do to do the best job possible because they look beautiful.
So tell me a little bit about your week. So you had the surgery, you went home the same day.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel the first couple of days, and then over the past week, how have you done? What kind of activities have you been doing? Tell us a little bit about that.
I gave myself 2 down days. So the day of the surgery and the next day, I was totally stoned pretty much, or just took my drugs and made sure that I relaxed and didn't do very much other than the stretching that you had indicated was necessary. By the 3rd day, I stopped taking any of the pain medicines because I wasn't in pain anymore. I started taking just the antibiotics, or I continued taking the antibiotics and some anti-inflammatories. Then I started stretching a little more, being a little more aggressive on the stretching, and it was perfect. I was able to go out with no problem. I went back to work. On the 3rd day after surgery, I was back at work, moving around, and I'm in a very moving, very quick-paced employment. So it was very important for me that I can reach and grab things, and it was not a problem at all. It was perfect. So since the 3rd day, I've also gone back to gym, and started my Pilates and yogas. Nothing with weights, nothing that puts too much pressure on them. And if I feel any pulling, I stop. So I have my limits. But it's so wonderful to be able to get back into normal life and not have a hindrance of what the typical surgeries are like.
So let's talk a little bit about before the surgery. You told me you had seen a few doctors and you ended up with Dr. Wigoda. Tell me a little bit, how many doctors did you see and why did you end up choosing to have your surgery here?
Well, I'm a little bit of a paranoid person when it comes especially to my body because, oh my gosh, you hear all those horror stories. And I just moved here from San Diego. So on top of that, I'm not even familiar with Florida or the areas or the doctors, and I don't know anybody to tell me, ooh, go to him, he's good, and I can't see someone's work in person. So what I ended up doing was I researched through licensing and through malpractice suits, as well as referral companies and things like that. I saw 12 in person. After I ruled out the others, I saw 12 in person, starting as high up as West Palm to Boca and down to Miami. I chose Dr. Wigoda because he wasn't stuffy. He actually cared about the procedure. He listened. He didn't mind that I was very particular. That's a nice way of putting it. And instead, he made me feel comfortable. He showed me exactly what he was going to use, which would be the perfect product of what occurred. The funnel that he used and what he described, I believe, is why there's no bruising. The stitches, the sutures, everything was just perfect. He was very flexible. He wasn't one of those doctors that was stuffy, that just wanted to see you and get you out the door. The staffing here also. The ladies here are amazing. They chit-chat with you about everything and anything, and they want to make sure, they genuinely want to make sure that you're good and you're fine and that everything's going to be okay. And between the two, that was why I picked Dr. Wigoda, and I think I made the best choice ever.
So you got to see them a little bit today, obviously over the week, and how did things look for you? How much bruising did you have? How much swelling?
I have no bruising and no swelling. It's amazing. I had like 1.5 inch incision scar, which, had the sutures, which were removed today. Everything else was beautiful. In fact, sensitivity is fabulous. I've had great reviews so far. Not that I'm going to keep pull, but we're getting there.
So you mentioned that a friend or a coworker had had surgery and her experience was a little bit different. How was hers different from yours?
Oh my goodness, I felt so bad. They had done a surgery with her. She was considered an NA and not even an A, to between a C and a D, and they went through her nipple and did an incision from the bottom to the nipple and around, And she said she was in pain for 2 months. It wasn't until the 3rd month where she could actually stretch or move. She was so wrapped up and tight. She had to take 2 weeks off work. And I felt so horrible because here I am, the 3rd day after surgery, jumping around. Everything's great. And she was like, unbelievable. So, of course, she also has some complications. So I made a recommendation for Dr. Wigoda. I let him know that. I let her know that that was the person to see, even if it's just to get it checked out to make sure everything is okay.
So if you had any friends or family interested in having breast implants, what would you tell them?
I'd say definitely go to Dr. Wigoda. He is worth everything you can imagine, and the procedure's perfect, and you look gorgeous just the way you want to.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.